Hello, I'm GigaChat Nash. I'm going to be discussing two novels by Honoré de Balzac. The first is At the Sign of the Cat and Racket, and the second is called The Ball at Sceaux.
So if you don't know these works, they're the first two additions to La Comédie Humaine. They come from Studies of Manners, Scenes from Private Life, and the other ones in this volume, there's only one more novel, and it's called Letters of Two Brides, and I'm still reading that, and that might be the next video. But overall, I was happy with the edition I had. It's from Noumena Press. It has lots of illustrations from the book plates, and it's just the Clara Bell et al. Translations, which I'm happy with. But I'm just going to tell you what I thought about the two novels. One was better than the other. I'll just say that first. So my initial thoughts about At the Sign of the Cat and Racket were that Balzac wasn't really as realist as is let off. Uh, Spoiler alert, the character Augustine dies in the short novel, and she is the subject of a painting by her lover, who is a painter. And it's kind of this relationship between a story that's titled after a painting of a cat and a racket, but it's actually also about a painting of Augustine. So there's kind of a crisis of representation here. If the subject of a painting is dead, there's no longer a referred or a referent. But what else was there that's good to talk about? I think there was a lot of tightness in the work. All the descriptions that characterize characters worked. All the expressions that he uses were very good. I especially liked the expressions used by Monsieur Guillaume. And there's also autobiographical elements, which I really liked, of Balzac's life, because he actually grew up from a father who had to marry his boss's daughter, which is a bit like how the story goes, with the elder daughter and the younger daughter being set up for marriage with two of the shop assistants of one of the cloth merchants. So it's really writing what one knows, and that's where the theme of love comes in. Because it's a bit about how love can't really exist in our society when it's packed with um, social roles, expectations, and it poses problems for what we think about our ideas of love. It's something more than mere passion and devotion. Love could be something like being caring and not just cheating and whatever else. And Balzac's exploration of the dangers of young love and marrying outside of one's class poses issues for the contemporary. Like, what are we going to think about this tragic affair if all we're doing is dating willy-nilly and not thinking about the consequences? I think that does pose a problem for the contemporary. And the score I gave it was 9 out of 10 because I thought it was very good. And it's one of the best things I've read all year. And I'll just read a bit of the ending of At the Sign of the Cat and Racket. An inscription engraved on a broken column in the cemetery at Montmartre states that Madame de Sommervieux died at the age of 27. In the simple words of this epitaph, one of the timid creature's friends can read the last scene of a tragedy. Every year on the 2nd of November, the solemn day of the dead, he never passes this youthful monument without wondering whether it does not need a stronger woman than Augustine to endure the violent embrace of genius. The humble and modest flowers that bloom in the valley, he reflects, perish perhaps when they are transplanted too near the skies, to the region where storms gather and the sun is scorching. And I think this obviously shows Sommervieux's almost megalomaniac and narcissistic viewpoint. I really found him quite a terrible character. Um, and I think that just shows how good Balzac is at characterization. Even though he's not all evil, like there's redeeming qualities, and he's maybe more of a himbo or a passionate Dionysian in some way. Now I move up to the ball at Sceaux, which I liked less, but it still was quite good towards the end. So it was a little slow to start, with much of the beginning acting as build-up. There was no real tension or issues or problems or qualms until we get to about two-thirds in. And ideas about class dynamics and the virtuous person getting paid with rewards, such as status and wealth, underlies the text, rather than just an exploration of love. Maximilian Longview is selfless and doesn't care about materialism. He actually helps his family when he could use his inheritance or money for himself. But in a contradictory manner, he is best suited for power and wealth because he is so selfless. Balzac's view of work ethic, style, being the best you can be, and nobility shine through the story about a botched romance. Love is bound up with various expectations about social roles and responsibilities, at least in this story. And I gave it a 7.5 because it was quite good at the end. And there was a quite very witty thing at the end that I will read out. Every mother with a daughter to marry made amiable advances to a man gifted with the virtues which they attributed to him, as they admired his attractive person. But Emily knew, better than anyone, that the Vicomte de Longueville had the steadfast nature in which a wise woman sees a guarantee of happiness. She looked at the Admiral, too, who, to use his favourite expression, seemed likely to hold his course for a long time yet, and cursed the follies of her youth. At this moment, Monsieur de Persepolis said with episcopal grace, "Fair lady, you have thrown away the King of Hearts. I have won. But do not regret your money. I keep it for my little seminaries."